G'day, Mike.
Did you read the Ian Taylor spray over the points-based MIQ system and how there's a whole bunch of bright people out there who could solve a whole lot of problems if only the government let them? And if you did read it, why don't they?
Yes, I did read it. I thought Ian had a really good point. It's been a frustrating time, actually. I talk to businesses every day that are keen to throw their shoulder to the wheel and help out, and it has been incredibly difficult to get a voice at the table.
What's happened?
I think what's happened is you've got a system that was never designed to manage a long-running crisis like this, that has got so buried in trying to solve the day-to-day issues and so worn out from doing that, actually, that they just can't step back and figure out, actually, how do we involve everyone that's got something to contribute here. And there's some bloody good ideas and a lot of energy out there that's being underutilised at the moment.
And I take it you've told them that?
Yeah, they're aware of it, actually. If I look at the way the government works, the Prime Minister is actually very engaged. She tries to open a lot of doors, but you don't have to get too far into the system before everything just grinds down to like a slow motion train smash. The system is just overwhelmed by what they're trying to deal with.
Is this so? You're talking once you get into a department. This is yes, minister, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's tough. As I say, I actually think a lot of the political decisions that are being made are the right decisions, but it's just hard to get things done at the pace we need them done inside government, inside the ministries. And we're in a race now, right? We can see every day the world mobilising. We have to catch up, or businesses suffer, and we're seeing that now.
Can you, what is the blow it up? Tell people to have more control of their own decisions, not get bogged down in ministries? I mean, obviously there must be an answer, mustn't there? Otherwise it just becomes an excuse.
There is an answer. My view of the answer is you have to separate the people that are managing the way through this crisis from the people that are running the day-to-day and the people that are doing the long-term planning. At the moment, we've got all of that happening within individual ministries, and so much of that burden today sits on the Ministry of Health. So you look and say, we're managing today's crisis. What are we doing to prepare the health system for what comes next? What are we doing to leverage the ideas that Ian Taylor has for what we could be doing in 3 months' time? What are we doing to get our testing capability up and running? None of those things are happening at the pace they need to because everyone's distracted by managing today's crisis.
Is anybody actually working on anything to the extent? So you raised, for example, ICU. Capacity needed to be increased, but we worked that out 18 months ago. It hasn't been increased. Why not? I don't know the answer, to be honest. I think part of the problem is that the planning, in theory, is being done centrally, and then the execution is all tasked to the DHBs, because, again, everything has become focused on the short term. Yeah. The DHBs aren't getting the clarity in terms of that medium to longer term plan, so they're all off doing their own things, and we're not doing it as efficiently as we could as a country. Is talent an issue? Are you dealing with people that aren't up to much, to put it bluntly?
No, it's not a talent. We're just not. When you think of crisis planning, you think of an earthquake or a volcano or something. It comes and then the day after it's happened, you're in recovery mode. No one ever planned for something that was going to last for 18 months, 2 years, 5 years. So we just haven't reorganised ourselves in the way we need to be able to fight this effectively.
But see, the frustration thing for me as an observer of this, you're closer than I am, obviously, but we are 2 years into this. So learn from what you didn't do right the first time, ICU being one example, MIQ being another example, and so it goes, vaccines being another example. So why aren't we learning from the mistakes we made in the first place?
Yeah, we need to reorganise ourselves differently. We need to involve the private sector and the public sector working collaboratively. And that ultimately comes down to we need more leadership in the system, and we need it focused, as I say, in three very, very clearly distinct spaces. One is responding to the immediate crisis, one is planning our way out of the crisis, and one is running business as usual. And we just need to get on and organise ourselves accordingly.
Is there an ideological block because we've heard, Luxon led that group, for goodness sake. The Prime Minister set the group up and Luxon led it before he started joining the National Party, and business was going to be on board and they had the year of the government, blah, 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 but nothing seemed to happen. Is there an ideological block in going outside the bubble and actually getting a bit of advice and help?
Yeah, I think that to a degree there is, I think a combination of ideology, but also a sense of when things get tough, I see within government there's a tendency to retreat into the shell and try and solve the problems inside government rather than go out and share the problem and figure out how do we get the best brains applied against the challenge.
Yeah.
And I don't, to be honest, I'm not sure that's a function of the current government. I've seen those issues with government as long as I've been engaging with government for decades, to be honest. It's an endemic problem within I think the way government operates.
You're a frustrated man?
I get frustrated, but I actually, through all that, I'm optimistic. I do see a pathway out of this. And, I'm sitting in Auckland like you, frustrated at the moment. We've lost our freedom to move around our country. We don't have freedom to get together in groups. We, can't cross our international border. We have to solve those problems. And vaccines are a part of it, but they're not the whole problem. We actually need to be building the system to have all those freedoms back and still to keep ourselves safe.
Great insight. Appreciate your time as always. Rob Fyfe.